talk about everything that I normally don't get to talk about in my regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasting apps from. We did not release a podcast today. I usually have Kenny Simmons, scouting expert for 247 Sports. And Kenny had because Super Bowl was going on. Kenny had some Super Bowl parties that he was going to. I was just kind of like, let's just hold off. So me and Kenny will give our thoughts and reactions to the Super Bowl on the Wednesday podcast I release. So stay tuned to that. Also below on the link, there should be a link below, quick 6-7 minute video of me and Kenny from last week. And Kenny kind of delved into his top defensive players, kind of like the all-pro team, top defensive players at every single position in the NFL. So definitely check that out. So we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. Obviously, Super Bowl recap, Brady, legacy, Mahomes, can the Chiefs get back? Tyrann Mathieu versus Tom Brady, just the Buccaneers and just their coaching, a lot of stuff to get done and just how this happened. So first, I want to give a congrats to my guy, Ben Karen, host of the Sports Growler podcast. Ben, you were right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers won, so I got to give Ben that. There's a lot of things. And I said this on the last edition of Outside the Shop. And by the way, thank you everybody who's tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter/Periscope. Listen, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were to win this, first of all, the front four had to generate pressure. 3 sacks, 10 QB hits. They were all on Mahomes all day. They also did not blitz. They dropped everybody back, and Kansas City couldn't throw it deep. So that caused some issues. You have to get lucky too, right? To be Kansas City, this is one of the greatest offenses that we've seen. We see how they continually come back down from double-digit leads on a regular basis. You got to have a little bit of luck. Patrick Mahomes had maybe his worst game of his entire career. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, was not good. Also hurt with a turf toe as well. He's going to have surgery in the offseason, so pay attention to that in the coming weeks as well. So you have to have a little bit of luck to beat this team. And then running the ball. The Bucs rushed for 145 yards. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They had a very good balance in terms of pass to run, which opened up play action and helped Tampa Bay's offense out quite a bit. And don't turn it over. If you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, you can't turn it over. Tom Brady, 0 interceptions. Against the Green Bay Packers, for the NFC Championship game, 3 picks. 3 picks, you're drawing dead against Kansas City. You don't turn it over, there's a pretty good chance you're going to win, particularly when they're turning it over. So those are kind of keys to how we saw Tampa Bay win. But then I think what's really interesting is not only did they win, they blew the Chiefs out 31-9. So really interesting. So I do want to say this. So it all changed for the Bucs here. And congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. It all started, they're 7-5. Their last loss, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers' last loss, you want to know who it was? It was to the Kansas City Chiefs. That was their last loss. And since they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs, they had a bye week. And then after that, they reeled off all these games in a row, right? They're 5th seed. They start off as a wild card team, go on the road, beat the Washington football team, go on the road, beat the New Orleans Saints, a team that had swept them during the regular season. Then they go on the road again, go to Lambeau Field, Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Smith playing at such a high level, beat them. And then they take out the big bad boogeyman in the Kansas City Chiefs in a rematch of a regular season game. This team peaked at the right time. I think it's going to be really interesting when there's some stories told, a book written on this team. What happened during that bye week after they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs? Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards against Carlton Davis in the first half. Carlton Davis was trending on Twitter for all the wrong reasons. What happened after that game? What happened during that bye week? I think that's going to be a really interesting story for years to come. What exactly did Arians, Todd Bowles, this whole coaching staff, Tom Brady, what type of soul searching did they do? And I think that'd be really interesting to see what happened in that bye week, because obviously this team took off right after that bye week, and it happened at a much needed time. Brady. And I'm going to say some things about Brady that might be considered critical. So I'm going to start with all the good things. I said this after the New England Patriots beat the Atlanta Falcons in 2016. And I said, Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. I will never doubt him. I will never disrespect him. What he does, I'm in awe of. And Brady, clutchest athlete I've ever seen. Toughest mentally, my God, just to keep coming back, to never be able to doubt himself, because there's always doubt. There's always the peaks, the valleys, the ups and downs, but for it to never seem to get to him, I think that's the most impressive thing about Tom Brady, the leadership. Obviously, they were missing leadership when they had Jameis Winston, and he was the quarterback and the leader of this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team last year. And Brady's just brought a newfound edge to this team where now, they believe there's somebody. They believe in them. And I think also, like, you want to play for Tom. Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement. Rob Gronkowski had 3 Super Bowl rings last year. Now he has 4. Was doing WWE, I think. Rich doesn't need to play football. He plays a physical position. There's CTE. There's a lot of stuff. And he came back for Tom Brady. Tom Brady makes you believe. He makes you believe. When you're the team, he makes you believe. I don't know last year if guys like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, if they believed, if Levante Davis and Devin White, if they truly believed, if Cameron Brates, O.J. Howard, I know he didn't play, but if all these guys believed, and Brady made them believe, and I think that's a special quality. Even Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown was considered a cancer. He was considered a stay away from AB. And the fact that Tom Brady, as a leader, as a man, is able to have this person in his house, when he has a wife and kids, and able to make sure there's really no issues with Antonio Brown and make sure everything is okay, that just speaks to the man, the leadership, the dedication to winning, and just how he is able to kind of meld everything together to make all this work. So I get, in terms in the threshold for some of the athletes in American sports history, right? Like when people talk about Bill Russell, like Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky. Like Brady has to be at the top of the list now, right? Brady has to be at the top of the list when we start talking about the greatest athletes in American sports history. Like Muhammad Ali comes to mind too, like Floyd Mayweather, like the Olympians, like Michael Phelps, guys like that. Like Brady has to be in that tier. His accomplishments, second to none, a GOAT of the highest order, extraordinary career. But I do want to say this. Tom Brady got the Super Bowl MVP. I think it should have been Devin White. I think he was the best player on the field. And also, Brady is not a top 5 quarterback. I think people are kind of going crazy about this. When I did a podcast with Ben Karen about 10 days ago, Ben Karen had Tom Brady as the best player in the game. And I just disagree with that. Tom Brady's not a top 5 quarterback. The top 5 quarterbacks in this league are Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the top 5 guys in terms of what they can do for their team and just physically what they can do. Brady's not that. Brady is a game manager. He's a high-level game manager, but he is a game manager. Just threw for like 201 yards. I'm looking this up, right? 201 yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 0 picks, just managing the game. Nothing explosive, just chugging along. Maybe a better version or around when he won the first Super Bowls in New England, like kind of like that. So this Brady top 5 talk, I think that's crazy. In terms of the best players on this field, I'll just name a few players better than Tom Brady. Mike Evans, Devin White, Levante David, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes are all better without a doubt at their position. But Tom Brady's great. He is the GOAT of the NFL. I'm taking nothing away from him. So Patrick Mahomes says the Chiefs will be back, and I agree. And actually, I will say this right now. The Chiefs will be the favorites for me to go back to the Super Bowl and win it. If you tell me who's going to win it next year, I would say the Chiefs. They've been to 3 straight AFC Championship game appearances. I don't see the Bills, the Ravens, or the Browns, the Titans, any of these teams usurping the Kansas City Chiefs. Right, Patrick Mahomes is still one of the greatest talents we've ever seen at the position. So the Chiefs are my favorite to get back to the Super Bowl and win it. Also about the Buccaneers. Tom Brady has to age at some time. I think this will be very curious. Tom Brady said before the Super Bowl that he would play maybe possibly past 45, which was originally what he said. He would only play till 45. But since he's playing so well, maybe he wants to play longer. How long can Tom Brady actually keep doing this? And put this in the comments. How long can Tom Brady continue to play at this level? Can he do it till 50? Like eventually you're just not good anymore. So how long can Tom Brady continue to do what he does? But also in the NFC, right? In terms, I wouldn't favor the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to repeat, let alone repeat it in the NFC. Also, it just doesn't happen that often, but the Packers are going to be back. I think the Rams with Matthew Stafford, they're going to be legit. Let's remember, the San Francisco 49ers went to the Super Bowl last year. They're going to be returning their guys, Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Bosa, all those guys. So I think the NFC is going to be really competitive. Tampa Bay is no shoo-in to repeat or even to win the conference. And even Tampa Bay didn't even win their division last year. Let's be honest. The Saints won it. So, and the Saints are going to be back. They're not going to have Drew Brees probably. Like Taysom Hill's going to be the guy it looks like. We saw a little bit of taste of that. So nothing is guaranteed. Tyrann Mathieu versus Tom Brady. Now, apparently there's a report, right? Brady called and apologized to Tyrann Mathieu, I guess this morning or right after the game. They had a little bit of an issue. Tom Brady threw a touchdown. Tyrann Mathieu's like waving a finger in his face. Then Tyrann Mathieu's on Twitter, and this tweet is now deleted, but he says, He said some things that I can't even repeat. You guys are blaming me, but it's all him. Tom Brady apologized, did some coach speak. It's all heat of the game. I respect you as a player. I don't understand why this is such a big story. Like two guys, super competitive guys, two guys really good, males testosterone, super good in their industry, and they're just jawing back and forth. And maybe it got a little bit personal, but I don't think it got that crazy, because if it got that crazy, I feel like Tyrann Mathieu would have thrown a punch or something. So I can't imagine he said something that crazy, but he probably said some profanity and said some things that can be considered disrespectful. And lastly, I want to say this. Tampa Bay, we talk a lot about the Rooney Rule in the NFL in terms of African-American coaches not getting opportunities. Their four main assistants are all African-American. Their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, their special teams coach, and I believe their head assistant to Bruce Arians. And Brian Leftwich, their OC, and Todd Bowles, their DC, are two guys that I think should be in the hunt next year for head coaching jobs. Todd Bowles did a great job calling this defense all year. Also, game plan of the year. They're a team that blitzes a lot. Tampa Bay decided, you know what? We're not going to blitz Kansas City. So props to Todd Bowles and Brian Leftwich, how they've developed this offense to being able to function, despite, the fact it's hard to keep everybody happy in the NFL, right? You have so many weapons, and the fact that was never an issue too. Brian Leftwich did a great job as well. But I also wanted to say that, so props to Bruce Arians in an era where we talk about a lot with the Rooney Rule, minorities getting chances. Bruce Arians is empowered. He has four African-American assistant coaches as his four lead assistants. That's great stuff to see. And that's all we have for this edition of Outside the Shop. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type in Daryl Lane and you will get clips from my podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, as well as I upload this show right there every day. And again, Kenny Sims, scouting expert for 247 Sports, will return. We will have him on Wednesday for the Wednesday podcast, and we will recap the Super Bowl and kind of deep dive into everything. The NFL season is over, so on Barbershop Sports Talk, we're not going to be doing these previews and recaps anymore, but I'm sure we will find more great sports content. And also, link below a clip from the podcast, top defensive players at every position in the NFL. Only 6-7 minutes. Check that out. Everybody, have a great day, and thank you for